Hey, thanks for stopping by. I wanted to do a quick video today. Affinity Photo 3 has come out. It's probably been out for a little bit now. I'm not always the fastest on the uptake here. I'm still keeping Affinity Photo 2. Um, Affinity Photo 3 is free, but their layout is a lot different. And I have some opinions on whether or not I like it or not. But for now, I'm running both for different situations. Affinity Photo 2 I'm just way more comfortable with, and I have all my plugins ready to go and everything. Um, Affinity Photo 3, it looks like they designed it for a little bit of photo editing, a little bit of graphic design type stuff, and like making a document. So I'm going to try to put together something to show you how to put together like a newsletter. Today's video is about backscatter. So this is a little bit more specialized for underwater photographers here. There's a cool program called Backscatter Xterminator, and I was very skeptical at first. But then I tried it, and I fell in love as soon as I got to try it out and I used it. So I don't use it all the time. Again, try to get it right in the camera. But there's always times where, something happened really quickly. Maybe you couldn't adjust your lighting, and you still get a little too much backscatter. So I'm just going to show you how easy it is versus the old way of, Photoshop, just cleaning up everything, right? So let's get out of the way. So this is from the Australian giant cuttlefish aggregation. Happens every kind of winter down in Australia, and it happens all along the coast and everything. I really like this photo. This is two males kind of duking it out, and you could see here the male is displaying its colors, and he's doing this kind of threat display, so they'll kind of fight and show each other their tentacles and everything, and they get really gnarly. Like I've seen cuttlefish missing arms and everything. And I was doing kind of a cross lighting / inward lighting technique here, just to play with stuff, And I like how it came out, but I didn't have any beam restrictors on my camera, and you could see here how there's a little bit of backscatter. Now this site that I was at, it can be really clear. It's just the days that we were there, there's a bit of wind, currents were stirring up some sediment. It wasn't the worst conditions I've ever been in. So normally, depending on what I'm using a photo for, I might actually make this available on my website. What I would do is go through and just remove like the distracting backscatter, but man, that would take a while. So these people, it's Go Ask Erin, and she's an underwater photographer, teamed up with an astro photographer, and they designed this software that eliminates backscatter using the same kind of algorithm as what they would use for star reduction, which I personally don't do star reduction in my astro photos. I think the stars belong there. I really like it. But for that deep space stuff, I guess that's kind of the style. So this is Affinity Photo 3. As you can tell, it's a way different layout, and I'm still getting used to this. I'm not used to it yet. I don't know why they have to change everything every time they create new software. Canva bought Affinity Photo, and the first thing you're going to notice is you want to be, when you're doing your photo editing, you want to be in the pixel section here. There's a vector pixel layout. So vectors for like graphic design, pixels more for like photos. And I already have this plugin installed, but I'm going to show you how to do it real quick. So if you already have your plugins installed, you can skip this part. But basically, to add a plugin to Affinity Photo, you go to Affinity, and then you go to Settings. And then you're going to go down to Photoshop plugins, because Affinity will recognize the .plugin extension. All right, and again, I already have these installed, but you can just open up the default folder, and you might have to put this in manually from your download, but it's pretty easy to do. So once these are installed, and sometimes you have to click Allow Unknown Plugins. You have to restart it, and then it'll be ready to go. All right, so I want to show you some common pitfalls depending on types of animals you're photographing. But again, this backscatter is not even that bad, but I really like what this does. So you're going to go to Pixel, and then you're going to go to Filters, and then you're going to go down to Plugins. And then I have one for Topaz Photo AI. Then this other one is by RC Astro, and that's Backscatter Xterminator. So I also wanted to make this video for my underwater photographers out there. Maybe you're thinking about ditching Adobe, and you're like, well, I don't know if my software, my plugins are going to work for Affinity Photo. A lot of them do. So you click Backscatter Xterminator, and it's going to analyze this. And it takes a second, but honestly, it's not even that long. So what it's doing, it's analyzing the photo. It's looking for what it thinks backscatter is. And then bam, look at that. The water is like really clean. You can't even see where it got rid of the backscatter. So that's like, maybe with beam restrictors, I could have gotten something close to this. I didn't have any at the time. I'm having somebody 3D print me some for my strobes because they're discontinued now, of course. It's the way of the world. But the one problem with this software depends on your animal. Do you see what it did here with the cuttlefish? It really reduced a lot of these white spots and white stripes because that's what it thought backscatter. That's what it thought it was as backscatter. So you're like, oh man, how do I fix that? I hate that, right? Well, we go back to our beginning here, okay? And then we're gonna duplicate the background. And this part looks just like the old Affinity. You hit duplicate, so you still have your original. And then we'll just verify that it's there, okay. So my top photo, we'll just run the plugin again. And maybe there's an easier way. This is the way I do it. So it's just going to take a second. And then what we'll do is we'll take the top photo and we'll just mask in the parts that we want back in the photo. But again, I'm still getting used to the layout, so it took me a while to kind of find all the buttons and where they are. So it still behaved the same, which is good because you want your software to behave similarly. So we're going to go over here to the mask button. Okay, and it's going to create a mask on our layer. And then you just click a regular paintbrush. And see how they have these different types of paintbrushes? You could just double check. If you bring your cursor over and hold it there for a second, it says paintbrush tool. And if you hit X, that switches these to the black. If you have a white mask, you want a black paintbrush. And then I just make this a little bigger, and then for something like this, I just make the opacity 100, and then we just paint back the dots that we want back in this particular case. Now, it just depends on the animal you photograph. You're not always going to have this problem, but maybe if you're photographing like a spotted dolphin, it might think the spots in the dolphin are backscatter. So now, this is something I would feel comfortable if I was working with like a publisher or something. You talk about what their comfort level is with editing. If you want to offer something like this on your website and you're like, man, there's just a little bit too much backscatter, I just want to clean it up a little bit. This software does a really good job. So I really like this a lot. And that's just a quick video on how to use Affinity Photo 3 to eliminate backscatter in your images. If you have Affinity Photo 2, which again, I still run Affinity Photo 2, a very similar process. Instead of pixel, I think it's something like layer or plugin. There's like another menu option up there. But I'm still getting used to the layout of Affinity Photo 3. I'm probably still going to run both always. It doesn't really take up that much memory on my computer. But I'm kind of excited for Affinity Photo 3. I want to start playing with it to create some pamphlets or newsletters, things like that, for my emails and for websites. But it was a quick video on Backscatter Xterminator. Great software. If you haven't picked it up, highly recommend it. Here's a real-life example of how good it was. And I'm actually hoping I don't have any more examples in the future, because if I do this right, I shouldn't have that much backscatter. But every photo inevitably has a little bit. All right, so thanks for stopping by.